Ba, 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 ba.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 12 of Fantasy Film Fights, the show where we take a random film topic and we draft it fantasy style. Today we decided to switch things up a little bit. We were going to do movie set in Britain, but since we're all under the stay-at-home quarantine, whatever you want to refer to it as, we decided to draft Netflix recommendations that include TV shows and movies alike. Joining us today on the panel, we've got 4 returning panelists, all excellent in their previous episodes. Right here next to me, we've got Aaron. Aaron, how are you doing?
I'm fantastic. Busy day here. Moved around a little bit, so it's been a big day, so I'm ready to relax a little bit. How you doing?
I'm doing good, and we should have fun with this episode. That should be relaxing enough for you. Down here in the corner, we've got Adam coming back with us. Adam, how are you today?
I'm good, Peggy. Happy to be here. I have watched a little bit of Netflix since I've been home lately, so happy to get some stuff off my chest today.
Sounds good. Directly below me, we've got Bill returning with us. Bill, how are you today?
It's a dog-eat-dog world, and I'm wearing milk-bone underwear.
Cheers. Quote. Norm says it.
Yes! You're the first person ever to get that.
Really?
Yeah, you'd be surprised. No one ever gets that joke. So,
not that I'm giving away any potential picks in the draft, but yes, that is fun. Cheers. Finally, down here, so if I can get my pointing correctly, we've got Ryan with us. Ryan, how are you today, pal?
Pretty good. I had some sun today, and then I spent 2 hours at a job blowing out draft lines, so I'm good to sit on my ass for.
I'm sorry, blowing what?
Blowing out draft lines. I clean beer taps.
Yep.
My job's actually been considered essential, so for 3 hours for 2 days, I get to work.
I'm sorry, all I heard was blowing lines. It went crackling down for a second. I was just like, what do you do as a job, and how can I get it?
That's also how I spend in my quarantine.
That's our panelist. And as always, to my left is my co-host, Tony. Tony, how are you feeling today, my pal?
I'm doing well. Happy Earth Day.
Yeah, happy Earth Day. Forgot about that. Yes.
Yeah, it's when we celebrate the Earth, the thing that's trying to kill us slowly. If we praise it enough, it might stop killing us. You never know.
well, smog is clearing up, and all of a sudden nature's taking back over things. So, it's actually probably the cleanest Earth Day it's been in decades. So
I can attest, California is actually recovering drought-wise from this. So there's an upside.
Yeah, and this like animals just random in the city centers and stuff. It's just like they're just like, what?
Makes you realize that we're the virus, maybe not so much COVID. But anyways,
it is the children who are wrong.
Yes.
Well, we're gonna get cracking with this, but first we need to decide draft order. Tony, tell us how that's done.
All right, so the way this is done is everyone should have either something to write on, hopefully, or something to be able to remember numbers in their head. I'm going to ask a question here. Whoever gets closest to the answer without going over, close to. Why am I doing Prices Right? Why am I changing the rules? It's the thing. I've been watching a lot of Prices Right recently because for whatever reason it's on UK Netflix and it's just perfect to have in the background when I'm doing other things. But yeah, whoever gets closest gets to decide the draft order. So the question that we've got at this moment.
Yeah, I'm playing along today, boys and girls.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it's Peggy.
This changes everything.
Not really.
No, I'm just kidding. This changes absolutely nothing.
Daddy! I'm here.
Child! We also just quickly remember people about the child rule. If a child does appear on screen, they get your next pick automatically.
Be the same picks coming from Adam.
I'm not babysitting right now.
What about Rory or Chico?
If a dog disappears as well, your first answer is automatically dog of the afternoon.
I accept that.
All right, so
I do have a child.
no, I thought you were just throwing your voice.
You have to say it like Billy Zane. I have a child.
Yeah.
Please, I have a child.
All right, so just
Emotion as in the world. I know that movie too well.
a question that we got is, in millions, how many subscribers does Netflix have?
Oh, Jesus.
In the millions?
In the millions. I would.
Oh, how do I write that?
Wait, are we factoring in COVID shutdown or before COVID shutdown?
This is from. Let me see if it's got a date. This is prior COVID.
Okay.
So you don't need to do like point or anything like that. Unless you want to get creative. In that case, I'm going to go cry in a corner when I struggle with maths.
You're always crying in a corner.
I like crying in my corner. It's a nice corner. It keeps me warm.
All right.
All right, has everyone got an answer?
Yep.
Yeah.
Sorry. We will start with Aaron then.
I put 86. Crossed out 286 at first million.
And Adam.
I went high. I said 806 million.
Okay, and Bill.
To keep the escalation going, I said 985 million.
Okay, and Ryan.
I'm just dead last. I thought Disney Plus instead of Netflix. I just wrote 18.4 million. I don't value Netflix.
You might not have gone over though, so you never know.
Yeah, you might have.
I'm Peggy.
And I'm somewhere in the middle with 722 million.
So Adam's closest, right?
I figured.
Oh, you went over, though.
No, we're not doing over. I messed that up.
I was just hoping. I just want to point out, I guess 86 million and he guessed 806 million. What are the odds of like just one number, you know?
So, according to this article from Market Watch, the amount is 117 million 0.58.
Oh, okay.
So, ever so slightly close there was Aaron with 86. That means Aaron gets to decide the pick. I'm sorry, 1/8 of the population of the Earth does not subscribe to Netflix yet.
I was confused. I thought Peggy was showing the answer there, so I was super confused there. My bad.
You know what? I know where I went wrong with that one. I remember I heard a news article was saying it was they passed $1 billion, and I was thinking $1 billion subscribers. But yeah, they're actually worth over $1 billion now.
So Peggy, you are playing today.
Yeah, Peggy's playing.
Okay, I thought you said you weren't playing today. Okay, so let's see. I'm going to have Bill go first.
That's like 2 in a row for me.
Peggy, I'll have you go second. I'm going to make this nice and confusing for you, Tony. Ryan, I'm going to have you go third. Adam, I'll have you go fourth, and I'll go fifth.
Okay, so let me pull this back up. So just confirm the order. So Bill's going first, Peggy second, Ryan third, Adam fourth, and Aaron fifth. Is that correct?
I just went in order of who I thought had similar taste to me, and I wanted the back-to-back first-round picks.
Smart.
That's all. That's the only reason I went that way. I just think that's it.
It's almost like there's no actual order to this game or anything like that. There's no strategy.
Oh, I put all my strategy into my picks there.
All right, so that means Bill, you're on the clock.
All right. So my first pick was the easiest pick. I saw this movie late last year after it came out because I heard a bit of a buzz about it, and I was super excited, and I was very happy. But big fan of the horror genre. So when I have to go with a movie I would recommend on Netflix, I would think of movies you wouldn't find, stuff that's off the beaten path. So I'm going with The Girl on the Third Floor.
Oh, not where I thought you were going.
So a couple things. First-time director Travis Stevens. This guy has produced a lot of horror movies, and it shows he has a real understanding of it. Starring role is one Phil Brooks, also known as CM Punk, who does a lot of heavy lifting in this film. He has to spend a lot of time by himself, and it's a very slow burn character study of him. And then the movie kind of shifts gears, and it gets like the escalation gets a little crazier and crazier, but like he does a great job. And he said it was the easiest job he ever had because he didn't have to leave Chicago. So did the film.
Bill's frozen when he mentioned Chicago. I do love just how he is frozen, just like
jazz hands. Very jazzy.
So,
I saw nothing happening. Okay.
You got me
Where did I leave off? I don't know. Yeah. So whole thing takes place in Chicago. If you're a fan of this kind of genre, I can't recommend this one enough.
All right, so The Girl on the Third Floor. Can't say I've ever heard of it, but horror is not exactly my genre. Did anyone else have this on their list for a potential pick?
Yeah, no.
This was on my queue. This is on my movie watching queue because I'm aware of this movie and, of course, as a wrestling fan with fantasy and punk, but also trying to get myself back into horror. So Girl on the Third Floor was the top 3 movies of horror. Was the top 3 horror movies I would select to start watching again. I mean, to get back into horror. So it's like a far off on my list, but I would have picked it.
Yeah, it's a high recommend. Yeah, it's a good movie.
So looking at
it's not a perfect movie, but it is a good movie.
It's an interesting one because Rotten Tomatoes got 81% for critics, 22% for audience.
It's a bit of a highbrow going on there, so I don't think a lot of people kind of understood it. Not a lot of people like indictments on toxic masculinity in their horror films, but here we are. So
I might actually watch it. I might watch it immediately because of that now.
Hey, you just sold me on it too. So I had an impression that this was quite the opposite kind of horror movie. So I never even considered.
Oh no,
it.
It does veer into that after a little while,
That's
but
fine.
like
it's got its moment.
It takes its time to get there. Yeah.
Like a platform level of like meta society.
Yeah, it just builds and builds and builds. So and CM Punk is fantastic in this. He does a real good job of being kind of likable to almost complete asshole, and it's like a slow turn to that. So
I love the rationale of going off the beaten path. I do like that with this being
that's like, kind of a lot of the movies I end up liking. I can't tell you how many. By the way, I already checked. Turbo Kid is not on Netflix, so you were all safe.
Damn it!
That's a great pick. Nice pick, though.
Yeah,
it is, and that's kind of the point of this episode. We want to give people an idea of something to watch that maybe they didn't immediately think to watch in the first place. So we're giving them ideas.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So first pick off the board, Girl on the Third Floor. We move over to me. I have a feeling most of mine are going to be very female skewing. So I'm going to take the one pick that I need to pick that someone else on this panel could potentially take from me. So got to take it early. It is arguably the best TV show of all time. And I wouldn't feel right about making a list if I didn't name this one first. I'm going The West Wing. Just because I know it's very well known, but there's a shocking amount of people who have never seen this show. And I highly recommend you watch it. It's one of the best. Has anyone here seen it? Not seen it?
I remember a few episodes watching with my parents. I'd be doing my homework, or I'd be a good boy in front of them, so they let me watch wrestling or let me watch my animated TV shows. So I do remember a couple episodes of West Wing.
Yeah, it's a terrific show. It anticipated a lot of things that happened in past administrations, and was way ahead of its time. Holds up really well. I'm a big fan of it too. Never finished it, so I should get back to it on Netflix.
Did you leave when Sorkin left?
What's that?
Did you stop watching when Sorkin left the show?
No, not necessarily. At the time, I was watching physical DVDs. And I had the big suitcase full of them. So yeah.
No, but yeah, for those of you who don't know, Aaron Sorkin was head writer for the first 4 seasons out of all 7 seasons. But yeah, that is my first pick off the board. I'm picking The West Wing. We move over to Ryan with his first pick.
Okay, my pick. I decided to do something where I picked something from Netflix that was not only just an original, but it's also a TV program. And one thing people who might know about me or see me play in trivia leagues, I am, without a doubt, a big comic book fan. So to some who might have this on this list or might not become surprised, my first pick in my fantasy team is the Netflix TV original Daredevil. This TV show, it wasn't just a kickoff for Marvel's, Marvel television on Netflix, but it took a character who was drawn very well in the comic, that talked about very real storylines, real situations like crime, prostitution, and also what it's like to be going day to day in your whole life as a vigilante. And this show did a very good job. Had some great casting choices of Charlie Cox, Eldon Henson, Deborah Ann Wolfe, and of course, Vincent D'Onofrio as the Kingpin. Whenever that man is on board of a movie screen, doesn't matter if it's small or big, he has my attention. And also the camera shots in that movie is very good when they do close-ups on actors. You get to see the physical tics whenever their emotions are running, as if you could. Yeah, Garth, I was not picking Iron Fist. That's crap.
No one picks Iron Fist.
No.
But it's also the progression that season went along. Personally, for me, the show got better every season, no matter what it was juggling. It flopped a couple of times, like season 2 and a bit of season 3, but it did a great job really bringing you in and not trying to shove down the moral ideals of being a hero and also of our main character being someone of Catholic faith. They didn't shove this down your throat. They made you they made you go on this journey with him and understand his reasonings. So that's my pick, Daredevil.
Daredevil. All right. I've never seen it, but guess where it's going? It's going in my queue.
It's funny. I had the opposite reaction to Daredevil. Like, I adored season 1, and then season 2 is hit and miss. Like, the stuff with him and the Punisher is really good. The Daredevil and the hand stuff is boring as fuck, and I don't care. And it drags the pacing down.
I don't blame you. Like I said, no season's perfect, but for me, I'm a big hardcore into the character's journey. Yeah. And sometimes one rewatch, it's rough to watch over, but I still love that final moment in season 3 when Kingpin is pretty much talking about when you're so frustrated that a primal scream is the only satisfying release you can have. Yeah, I do that almost every 2 to 3 weeks when I'm frustrated. So something I picked up from that show.
I got a quick question for you because you mentioned it. D'Onofrio, Schreiber, or Michael Clark Duncan, who's the best Kingpin?
Oh, how dare you!
So that's Schreiber from Into the Spider-Verse, Michael Clark Duncan from the 03, the greatest comic book film of all time, Daredevil, then D'Onofrio from...
Who's the voice actor for the Spider-Man animated series who played Kingpin? Because I would put him on the list too.
Yeah, what was that guy's name? I can't remember.
But until I do, he and D'Onofrio would be tied for one. And because I'm a fan of Michael Clark Duncan, he and Schreiber would be close tied as well.
Yeah, I mean, Duncan got like a little. He's a little underrated. He was saddled with a bad movie.
Yeah,
he was fine. Yeah,
he and Colin Farrell were having fun in that movie.
I don't know what Colin Farrell's doing in that movie. It's not acting, that's for sure.
Oh, I'm gonna stop here before I get into a Colin Farrell.
All right, so Ryan takes Daredevil. That moves us over to Adam. Adam, your first overall pick.
Well, it's a mainstay on Netflix at this point. It's been around for a while, and it's something near and dear to my heart. But the reason I think it's important to prioritize it is because a lot of people have not seen it, or they say they have, but it's been probably a decade or more, and that would be Twin Peaks. Twin Peaks would be my number one pick. The reason why I think it's so important is I think it's one of the seminal television series in history. It was David Lynch's offshoot of what he was doing with movies. And what he did at the time was he really pushed the boundaries of network television as far as they would go, and then a little bit farther, and really paved the way for things like X-Files, Lost, and what we watch now. Beyond that, what's really great about Twin Peaks is when you go back and watch it, there's more beyond just the first two seasons. So if you end up getting really into it, like, to the tinfoil hat phase like me, then there's the movie, which a lot of people are familiar with, Twin Peaks Fire Walk with Me, which I believe is streaming on Criterion Channel right now.
Yep.
And then there is what I think is like the magnum opus of David Lynch's career, which is Twin Peaks: The Return on Showtime. And so if you end up binging all of what you like on Netflix, there's a lot more after that. And the thing that's cool about Twin Peaks is it was like one of the first things that had supplemental materials too. So like you could buy The Secret Diary of Laura Palmer and read it and learn more about the background of the characters. Mm-hmm. And then there was new publications for the new series as well that kind of tie all the different eras together. So it's really fascinating to me. Admittedly, the second season has some ups and downs, so you need to strap yourself in and prepare yourself for some really zany stuff, because David Lynch took off for a while in season 2. but he brings it home, sticks the landing by the end of season 2, in my opinion. And then you can go right into watching the movie, which is technically a prequel, but it messes with time. So you can have a lot of fun with it. So Twin Peaks all the way, number 1.
All right. I should have known having chosen David Lynch as your strength in a match that I played you in. I should have got. But shockingly, I did not watch Twin Peaks because it was not part of the match. So I've never seen it before. I'm sorry, Adam.
Yeah, I'm in the middle of season 2 right now, and I will admit, as a David Lynch fan, I've dipped in and out of the second season a few times now. So it's a worthwhile watch though, the first season, and I'm told after the second season. So I'm trying to make it through it right now, but I'm not surprised.
It's different. It's if you're a fan of Lynch, it's right up your alley. I enjoyed it, but I also understand why people can't get into it because it's Lynchian. I mean, like he's a you either love him or hate him kind of guy. So, but yeah, no, that's a good choice, man. Yeah,
I agree. That's a good choice too. Unfortunately I'm not that into Lynch. I've never got an opportunity to. So if Twin Peaks is on Netflix, I will definitely give that a watch. Especially, I know a lot of fans. I know a lot of people who like to do David Lynch-esque of parodies of Twin Peaks or homages to Twin Peaks. So I think this would be kind of fun, and also the praise the return got as well. So hopefully that gets to Netflix.
Yeah, I need to actually watch some Lynch stuff at some point. I always just got put off by him for whatever reason. Just something about him, just like, nah, I'm good.
I don't know if he's going to be.
What's that? The dude on the tractor was good. Forget the title. But,
Which one?
Which one? Sorry.
The one with the dude on the tractor.
Oh, Straight Story. Yeah, currently on Disney Plus.
I call it the one with the dude on the tractor. All right. So it's off the board. We move over to Aaron to close out round 1.
Also,
yeah.
So, there are a lot of great A24 movies on Netflix, but saying great A24 is a little redundant, isn't it? I did go last for a reason. I wanted to see how you guys are going to play, and I was hoping it wasn't going to be like all the just big hitters, and you guys didn't disappoint. You all picked, I think, excellent first choices and very good representations of all of your tastes, actually, and your first pick. So I appreciate that. And so I guess I'm going to switch it up here. I'm going to go with my first pick here, which is the movie or the show, I should say, from Netflix that I recommend to people more than any other show on Netflix. To me, it will always justify me giving Netflix money, and as long as the show's on, at least. And it's a foreign language show. It's a German show about time travel. And if you don't know from that clue, you need to watch this show right away because I'm not going to say much more about it. It's called Dark, and it is the best show. The first season's the best season of television I've ever seen, in my opinion. It's endlessly rewatchable, and you can only really understand that if you've seen the series. What they do with time is unlike any other show or movie, and it just because it's in a foreign language, obviously the subtitles help you pay attention, flip your phone over and not watch anything else. So gets you away from your phone, gets you away from Twitter, you do have to focus on it. So it causes you to have to, pay a little more attention than we've been paying attention to with a lot of our media maybe. So, and I adore this show. I've literally watched the first season more than 10 times. And
nice.
It is just an insane show, and people oversimplify it and call it German Stranger Things. It is not that. Please watch it. And so very happy to have this as my first pick. Thank you. Yeah, Nick. Anytime I bring this show up and someone's seen it, that's the reaction. So it's just until they've seen it that it's an awesome show. So if you haven't seen it, I would highly recommend it. It's 8 episodes, I believe, the first season.
18 episodes for both seasons.
Yeah. Oh, it's 10 the first season, 8 the second. It has a third season coming, I believe, in June. And it is the third and final season. It's been planned as 3 seasons throughout.
Oh,
so
nice.
I'm a huge fan of television shows when they planned it out and know where they're going while still have it just go. I mean, it's got a fantastic subreddit community, so you can go there between episodes, and no one's going to figure out this show. It's amazing.
Yeah, I've watched a few foreign language series on Netflix, so I thought you were going a different route, but I haven't seen this one, so another one adding to the.
I have a few foreign language series I love, which I'll mention towards the end. But yeah, I mean, that's one of the things I think Netflix is actually, and then I'll end my first round since I'll go down to the second. But like that's why one of the things I really appreciate about Netflix is it's helped me discover foreign language entertainment much more. So.
Nice.
I think that is I thank you guys for inspiring me to not just go boring with my first pick. So
I will echo Dark. I've only gotten through the first season. I need to play catch up, but subtitles all the way, Aaron. Anyone who watches that with dubbing is, that's offensive.
Right.
Yeah. So there are some that can be dubbed. This cannot. This is not.
No.
I'll just quickly read out the one-line synopsis from Wikipedia. Dark concerns the aftermath of a child's disappearance, which exposes the secrets of and the hidden connections among 4 estranged families as they slowly unravel a time travel conspiracy which spans 3 generations.
And to be honest, I watched it without even knowing time travel existed in the show. So it's like to watch it from the level that I watch it from, like, I'm sorry I said the time, but that was inevitable. People know about that. I didn't even know it was a time travel show. So when I watched this show, it really did kind of blow my mind. Like a level, very few entertainment pieces of ever.
Bill and Ryan, you guys watch this, or is this something you're adding to your list?
You had me at time travel.
This was kind of recommended. Netflix actually recommended this movie because I was going so hard into their original programming, or sometimes just constantly watching the Marvel shows, and they just recommended to me, like, after I finished watching Punisher. I'm like, what the hell is this? And it's still on my recommendation. So, you know what? I might give that a shot.
Yeah.
Nice.
Bill, I will love to hear your thoughts after you watch this show.
I'll give it a whirl.
Awesome.
Cool.
Hey, that rounds out round 1 for us. Recap for us, buddy.
Does indeed. So let's pull this bad boy up. So round 1, Bill went first, and he actually kept the name of the show, Fancy Film Fights, and chose the film, The Girl on the Third Floor. Everyone else has had to change the format. Peggy went first, and she went with The West Wing. Ryan then went with Daredevil, the TV series, We Should Stress, For Love of God, We Should Stress That. Adam went with Twin Peaks, and Aaron went with Dark.
Well, it's a rare opportunity we get to draft TV shows on this show. I figured if we're bending the rules, might as well, steer into the skid of it. But good list so far. Round 2 begins with Aaron's second pick.
Okay, this is where it gets a little bit harder, and maybe I become a little bit of a basic B here a little bit, because I am going to go with one of the big hitters, one of the movies. It's not a Netflix original. I wouldn't say this is off the beaten path either. But I would say this is a damn perfect movie. If you've been on a call with me before, I've probably brought this up at some point. It is PTA's masterpiece, starring Daniel Day-Lewis, and that is There Will Be Blood. This is a movie that, again, I can watch over and over again, and I just find it so impressive for so many different reasons. And I'm glad that Netflix still keeps some prestige on here with all the other things that are also on there. So I get this isn't the most original pick here, but yeah, it's just a great movie. I assume everybody's seen it. And if not, definitely glad to bring it up, but I'm not the first to recommend it.
Yeah, maybe spoilers from the leagues and everything, but I have not seen it yet.
Yeah, well, I mean, eventually, I get it. I've been during this quarantine. A lot of the movies I've watched for the first time ever have been classics I've heard so much about. I've been like, yeah, whatever. But and I would consider this a classic. So I'd say this is a modern classic. Yeah, it's maybe not the most fun to watch, but also will make you, feel just a lot of those emotions, just ready to get back out there as a business person myself, get back out there and get my milkshake. So yeah, I'm going with There Will Be Blood. This is my favorite movie that's available on Netflix. So simple as that.
Yeah, they don't all have to be deep cuts. or
No.
quote unquote deep cuts.
Yep.
I only remember bits and pieces of this movie, but I just remember a review from listening to the Top 10 podcast where Matt Noth says he was in this theater, and you remember at the end, an elderly couple said, "Is that how it ends?" And his response was, "You're fucking right. That's how it ends." It's just his delivery of that line, and of course, I do remember the movie how it is a tough watch, and also of the character of Daniel Day-Lewis and how he portrays Daniel Plainview. It's like, yeah, there's only one logical conclusion on how this guy's life ends, and so it's not a tragic story. It's just kind of you get what you get.
Yeah, it's definitely a character study. It's not the most plot-heavy movie as most Paul Thomas Anderson isn't, but I am not often in the movies for the plot. I'm in them for the character first and foremost, and there's not many better characters you can find on Netflix.
All right, so There Will Be Blood, first pick of the second round. That takes us back to Adam for his second overall pick.
I just wanted to say There Will Be Blood makes a surprisingly good double feature with 2001: A Space Odyssey. Ooh. There's a lot of visual and editing parallels in that, and then some bludgeoning parallels as well. But yeah, very good.
I was gonna suggest do double pairing with No Country for Old Men, but 2001 is more interesting.
Well, the music, the opening stretches of music of both of those films have a lot of similarities.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, so I had to pick another series. It's a limited series though, and it's very cinematic. And it's a series that made a lot of waves when it came out. I think just under 2 years ago. But it left a lasting impression on me, and that's The Haunting of Hill House. So The Haunting of Hill House is directed by Mike Flanagan, who's known most recently for doing Dr. Sleep. But the reason I recommend it so highly is because beyond being horror, which it does very well for the most part, it's a very human drama with fully fleshed out characters. It's a generational story as well, so you get to see what's happening in the present day, as well as what this family went through in this house when the kids were growing up there, and just all of the demons they're facing, literal and otherwise, since having lived in that house. There's some genuine scares in there, and I'm like Bill, I'm a horror veteran. It takes a lot to rattle me, but there's some stuff in there that gave me goosebumps. There's some debate about the ending, and I won't say much aside from, you're going to feel the way you're going to feel one way or the other, but the journey's still well worth it. And they're also turning it into an anthology series. So they're doing another installment called The Haunting of Bly Manor, I believe, which I think is going to be based on The Turning of the Screw. But The Haunting of Hill House is based on the book of the same name. And then the 1963 Robert Wise movie is a classic horror film. Not on Netflix, but great. Not to be confused with the Jan de Bont 1999 film with Liam Neeson, which is really bad. But the series definitely redeemed the story, in my opinion, and really brought it home and modernized it in a creative way. So you could watch that and then seek out the original 1963 movie, and I think it'd make a great double feature.
So just say this is 10 episodes. They run between 42 to 71 minutes. So
yeah, it has one of the best jump scares I've ever seen. And I hate jump scares too. Like, not in a way like they scare me, but like in a way I think cheap. This has one of the best jump scares I've ever experienced. And there's just, I'll just say it now because I'm not going to pick it. I don't think this show's going to get picked. There's a French horror show that reminds me a lot of it. That's a Netflix original called Marianne, which I think you would really enjoy also. Reminded me a lot.
Marianne.
Marianne.
Okay.
It's a French horror. Similar type of very character based and with the generational family issues and whatnot. But I think this is like quality American Horror Story. That's why I refer to.
And I will, if I may point out, one of the big selling points is there is an episode mid-season that is done to look like all one take. It obviously is not, because it's going back and forth through time, but the way it's edited is really compelling. And it's like a thrill ride of an episode. So definitely check it out.
Yeah, I'm always down for some good editing. It's one of the things that I love about when I see it done really well. The best. I've never seen this, but for some reason, when you said The Haunting of Hill House, the movie with Catherine Zeta-Jones and Owen Wilson came in my head. What's the name of that movie?
That's Haunting on the House of the Hill or something.
So-
Something like that. I'm just like, is
yeah.
that really what he said? And then you started
Okay.
explaining. I'm like, okay, no,
So
that's
the Owen Wilson film is the Haunting with Liam Neeson and then the House on Haunted Hill remake came out the same year with Jeffrey Rush.
Okay.
And that was the remake of the Vincent Price movie, which is the Vincent Price movie is fun, and honestly, the remake's pretty fun. The '99 Haunting though is terrible, really bad.
I just remember Catherine Zeta-Jones' boots in the movie. That's all I remember. I really wanted her. Sorry. Tangent. Sorry.
She dresses well in that film. I'll give you that. Yeah.
She dresses well.
All right. So The Haunting of Hill House is Adam's second pick. That brings us over to Ryan for his second pick. Ryan, what you got?
Okay. I'm actually continuing the train of my pick of character studies, character stories, and where you follow the character journey, the hero's journey. And this movie, let's just say I saw this a couple of years ago. I was impressed with it, but now with this whole situation of quarantine set up, how everyone's reacting to COVID, on how information is being thrown out to us, how people are dealing with it, and also almost in certain ways we want to point who's to blame for all this. And as much as people want to watch movies like Outbreak and Contagion because they feel it's relatable, I think this movie, even though it's set in a dystopian future, I think it's the themes and everything about this movie is very relatable to our time, and that is the Bong Joon-ho directed Snowpiercer starring Chris Evans. This movie, if people have seen this movie, I won't give a nod of it, but it's pretty much humanity ends up screwing themselves over by trying to control global warming. They end up freezing the planet to where the population of humanity is now on this one long train that is going around the world. It never stops, because it stops, people are going to freeze and they're going to die. And there's this class structure system on each level of the train. And we follow the story of the tail section, who's pretty much representing the poor, the disenfranchised, the handicapped, the unwanted, undesirables. And their leader, Chris Evans, begins a revolution to get to the front of the train. And from there on in, you start seeing in each car section how people are living, how resources are maintained, and how they control the population, either through drugs, alcohol, partying, brainwash, misled information, or genetic experiments. And the revelation of Chris Evans' character, when he gets towards the front, is heartbreaking and tragic, especially when he's being propped up as this leader. And this whole movie, he's going, I'm not a leader, I'm not a leader. And then when you learn his reasons why, it's tragic, it's heartbreaking, and he's lost. And then the other cut pulled under the rug on Chris Evans' character makes this movie even more tragic, to where you just go to yourself, what the fuck? Like, what the hell? So I'm going to stop here, and that's my pick, Snowpiercer.
All right. Excellent pick. I saw this movie. I didn't think I was going to like it very much going into it. I was very pleasantly surprised. I think it's an excellent pick, Ryan.
Yeah,
I am morbidly curious for the TV show that's coming. So that's it's going to be really weird. But no, it's a good. Can't complain about that. But it's a great movie. So.
Yep.
I would say that people that are like massive into South Korean, that Snowpiercer is actually one of Bong Joon-ho's worst films, which is interesting. If that's one of his worst, then it's just like, okay, so he's got a few bangers then.
It's everything's subjective. Everything is subjective. And to anyone if anyone in the comments points this out, yes, I'm aware of the theory that this might be a sequel to Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. I don't like that theory. I like the points. I just don't accept it.
Yeah, never heard that theory before.
Well, I came across it on a Reddit post, and then it caught so much wave and steam. That, oh no, please.
So Snowpiercer's off the board. That brings it over to me.
Mm-hmm.
I am going to take a movie with my second pick. Christina, if you're in the chat, pay attention, because ladies, this one is for you. This is a Netflix original. And it is my favorite chick flick, romantic comedy, whatever you want to call it, that's come out in quite some time. It stars Gina Rodriguez, Lakeith Stanfield, Brittany Snowden, and DeWanna Wise. It is a little movie called Someone Great.
I never. What?
Was
I've
that-
never even heard of this.
Yeah, I mean, that's
Exactly why people need to watch this movie. It is fantastic. Basic story: 3 girlfriends in New York City. One of them is about to move to San Francisco, and there is a relationship hanging in the balance. I'm not going to reveal more than that, but it is the best rom-com I've seen in years. I'm saying years, ladies and gentlemen. And I love my rom-coms. So, Someone Great is my second overall pick. Would have been my first, but I wanted to make sure I got West Wing.
Yeah, I had a chance to see this one. And yeah, it is good. It's worth seeing. And if people loved like Always Be My Maybe, they should really see this too.
It's better than Always Be My Maybe. Better than Set It Up. Better than
I still haven't seen this one. I know that's on the pile, but I think as far as Netflix rom-coms go, and it's ended up not making my list. So I feel fine like letting this one slip. But Happy Anniversary, I think, is actually one of the better ones that I've seen in a long, long time. So yeah. But no, not a bad pick, I'm sure. I like that's a good pedigree that's in there. So
Yeah.
It's a good movie. There's a bunch of comedian cameos. Cameo from Rosario Dawson for you gentlemen.
Oh, nice.
Honestly, I think it was the bad cocktail of Netflix's coming of age / rom-com movies like The Kissing Booth and To All the Boys I've Loved that kind of puts Someone Great into like I don't know if I'm gonna watch this. And at the same time, Always Be My Maybe.
you didn't like For All the Boys I Loved? That was solid. It was solid. It's no tall girl. It's no tall girl.
Cocktail.
Tall
I said
girl's
bad cocktail because To All the Boys was good. Then I watched The Kissing Booth and just went, oh god dang it.
This
Tall girl's
one
pretty
goes
great. She's
along
awesome.
a lot of- goes along
Rom-coms
a
are
lot
very
of-
big hit and miss for me, Chris. I mean, Phil, they're very big hit and miss for me.
You can make an argument for To All the Boys because that one was really adorable, but I like Someone Great. Head and shoulders above for me.
Just quickly bring it back to the MCU because everything in cinema comes back to the MCU. The director of Someone Great, Jennifer Caitlin Robertson, is actually going to be co-writing for Love and Thunder.
Nice. Well, that's
So, I'm guessing.
It'll give you fellas more incentive to watch it because I guarantee you will enjoy the movie as well. But that is my pick. That brings us back to Bill.
All right. So I'm going to switch my 2 and 3 since I get to go 2 in a row. To keep the train of actresses going, if you like Brittany Snow, have I got a movie for you? Because she produced a lovely thriller horror movie that I really like to show people, and it's called Would You Rather? And if anyone is not familiar with this is a high recommend. Jeffrey Combs. And that's all I usually have to say. So Jeffrey Combs is let off the leash, plays this prick millionaire. So the basic premise of the movie is Brittany Snow's brother has disease. She doesn't have the money. And this doctor's like, I could put you in touch with this rich family that likes to give people money. And they invite all these people over for dinner. And then it turns into a twisted rich people's game of let's watch the poor people fight each other to see who's going to win. And it's sort of like a game of like dares, but it's just like, oh, would you rather do this or would you rather do that? And it just gets increasingly worse and worse and worse. But good performances all around. There's a lovely little cameo by the late John Hurd, and it's really rather heartbreaking. Personal story. About a year ago, I went to a comic convention near me. Jeffrey Combs was actually one of the guests. This is the first thing I wanted to talk about. And like after I asked why we never got a Dr. Mordred sequel, but that's just me. So, if you like this kind of movie, it's definitely like a slower movie because it's a lot of we got to build to it and build to it and build to it. So there's not a lot of gore, there's not a lot of shock, but it's a lot of dread and a lot of like suspense. So yes, would you rather? I recommend.
Cool.
Anyone seen this?
I've been wanting to see it for a while. That's going to put me over the edge, though.
Nice.
I will definitely watch it.
Jeffrey Combs.
Yeah.
But Bill, when you were describing the plot, I've heard of this before. I think I may have seen a trailer of it, but no, I've not seen it.
I'm just happy that this is what Brittany Snow decided to do with all her Pitch Perfect money. She decided to produce this movie. So I'm like, why not? That's random and weird. Let's do it.
Isn't Brendan Fraser in it, too?
Yeah.
No?
No.
Okay. I imagine.
Rick O'Connell's not in it. Damn it.
If he is, I don't remember. I didn't see it.
For some reason, I really wanted him to be in that movie. I don't know why.
Brendan
I
Fraser
did-
is not in
my
this.
God. I'll give him.
Sorry, what was that, Peg?
I was simply going to say, fun fact, I recently wrote a John Hurd wheel wedge that might be seen on an
Ooh.
upcoming episode of
There you go.
I wrote a wedge for John Hurd.
You never know. People might start watching massive John Hurt binges.
Oh, jeez. All right, I doubt that.
There's no
There you go. See, there you go. So I am not the only person who's watched this. So
Yeah, looking at it.
even my girlfriend didn't mind it, and she hates these kinds of movies. So
Yeah, review that I saw for it said that it's like a more tenser version of Saw for the torture porn.
yeah, no, I go with that.
Okay, well,
All right.
that brings us to the end of round 2. Tony, hit us with recap.
Let's pull it up. Okay, so Aaron went first for the second round, and he went with a small film, independent film, There Will Be Blood.
Never won an award.
Adam then went with The Haunting on Hill House. Ryan went with Snowpiercer. Peggy went with Someone Great. And Bill went with Would You Rather.
Am I the
Interesting
first person to go with a theatrically released film?
Yes.
I think Snowpiercer was the limited run.
Okay,
It was a
well,
limited
yeah.
run.
Okay,
Yeah.
so the only person to pick a widely theatrically released movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
One that I don't
so-
get shouted at for asking me for a release date question about.
So, Bill, back to you. Kick off round 3 for us.
All right, we're gonna take a break from horror. This was supposed to be my round 3, so but I switched them around. I just couldn't help it with the Brittany Snow connection. That was just too funny. So, so I'm going to switch gears and go with a comedy. And I found this movie by complete accident, and I just thought, what in the F is this thing? So I decided to give it a whirl. Might be one of the funniest movies I had seen in years that year. And I am talking about the seminal classic, Swiss Army Man.
Yes.
Swiss Army fucking man. Involved
Beat the A24 punch.
Paul Dano, lost in the wilderness.
Daniel Radcliffe, right?
Yeah.
Daniel Radcliffe is a dead body,
Sure.
and they befriend each
Paul
other.
Dano movie.
This movie is worth it just for the acapella version of the Jurassic Park theme song. Funniest goddamn thing I've seen in years.
Wait.
And
Who's Paul
it
Dano's
is.
girlfriend in that movie? Oh my god.
Yeah, Mary Elizabeth Winstead. Yeah,
Well,
it's like
not
literally
not really
the two of
girlfriend.
them. It's the two of them for the majority of
Yeah,
the film.
no, but
And-
she makes appearances. Yeah, I
Yes,
just
yeah. And
like,
God, like
that's my girl, Mary Elizabeth Winstead. That's my girl.
yeah,
Sorry.
this is one of the movies where I was like, Paul Dano really deserves all the praise he gets. He really does. This and another movie, but I'll double check to make sure that's not on there to make sure no one steals it. But Swiss Army Man, you will
There
not
Will Be Blood.
thank me later for that.
He's in
I
There Will
agree.
Be Blood.
Dano has
There
great
is the
performances.
Welcome to the Paul Dano Appreciation Hour.
Yeah, yeah, no,
Dano.
seriously, Swiss Army Man, come on, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, if you
Yeah.
missed it, you should definitely watch it.
Yeah.
It's definitely interesting. It's an interesting concept of the movie.
It-
Okay,
I like
the other
fun-
movie is not on there. Prisoners is a great bit
shit,
with Paul
I forgot.
Dano. Yeah, yeah, Denny Villanueva, like real good film, but he is great in that. So
I like him as Cliff from The Girl Next Door, but that's just
I do love that.
Paul
I
Dano
do
has a
love
lot of
it.
so. Swiss Army Man kicks off round 3 for us. That brings it over to me for my 3rd round pick. I am going to go with another series. It's a very it only had 1 season so far, but season 2 comes out on Friday. This show has only 6 episodes. They're all under a half hour long. It is written, directed, and starring Ricky Gervais. It is a little show called Afterlife. Has anyone ever seen Afterlife?
Nope.
It will make
Hey,
you
what?
laugh, make you cry, it'll make you appreciate
Okay.
life a little bit more, and make you appreciate the blessing that is dogs in our life. Aaron, I'm looking at you, pal.
Mm.
But yeah, basic premise: Ricky Gervais married, wife dies of cancer, and he's trying to figure out how to press on with with that. And the shenanigans he gets into after. So I'm very much looking forward to season 2 coming out on Friday. And if you've never seen this show before, I highly, highly, highly recommend you see it. Any of you guys seen it?
I have not
See
seen
it in the queue.
No?
That's all I know.
I
Just
am
realize
intrigued, though.
it's a bit depressing at first. It's sad, but then it comes full circle at the end. So.
I've not watched it sadly because it got tainted for me, but I've heard that it's like the best thing Gervais has done since like The Office and Extras.
I agree. I completely agree.
Because
yes.
apparently no one loves that show that he did with Carl Pilkington.
The Idiot Abroad? I love The Idiot Abroad.
No, there was a show where they actually had Carl Pilkington as a character. Sick of it.
Oh. I haven't seen that one, but
It's
no, after
dreadful.
that, it's fantastic. Like I said, it's only 6 episodes, and season 2 comes out Friday, so you got plenty of time to catch season 1 before season 2 drops. With that, we head back over to Ryan for his 3rd round pick. Ryan, what you got?
Okay. I'm actually going to go a little bit off the boat here from my little character train. And one thing about Netflix that I think is not taken advantage of a lot, other than the constant TV shows or original movies that are brought up, one thing that I've kind of enjoyed about Netflix is the supply of documentaries they're actually providing us. And one documentary, which I thought not only can I personally relate to, but also for nostalgic purposes, I don't mind watching I watched an episode of it last week, and now I immediately put that on my list, and I'm going to binge it like probably this weekend. And it's The Toys That Made Us. This series just all talking about different franchises or different like toys that became synonymous with pop culture, like Hello Kitty, Barbie, Star Trek, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, professional wrestling. So as a kid growing up during the time of the 90s, where toys were immediately like you either had to have them or you don't, and plenty of movies were made where there was either a certain tidbit or a subplot where if you didn't get your child this toy, your child would hate you for the rest of your life. And I remember being that child. And although my dad, he knew how to set me straight. But I just loved it. Like I watched their first episode, and they have 3 separate seasons, 4 episodes. The first one's on Star Wars, pretty much about the Star Wars toys, the licensing, the creative designs on them, and of course, especially now, going to places like Comic-Con or going to conventions alone, you see toys being on sale for $50, $80, $150. I mean, nowadays, people are either toy collectors or they just want toys because it brings them back to their childhood and what they love. I mean, for Christ's sake, I have a few with me right now. I mean, I have...
He's got props.
Yes, I got a freaking lightsaber as a Star Wars fan, and I have the Gold Ranger Power Staff as a Power Rangers fan when that show was the bomb when I was growing up. And I mean, of course, look on the side. I got both the Infinity Gauntlet from the Avengers movie. So when it comes to something like a show of the toys that made us, that documentary I kind of like, and also I don't mind hearing some of the testimonials from people who collect this stuff every often. So if I ever feel like, oh, I must be that nutcase or I'm that guy, I'm like, there's a side in there for everybody. So
Brian, we all have toys that we collect. Some just come in different forms.
Yeah, I'm not getting my vinyl records out. But also,
every year on my birthday, I mourn that I was still never given the G.I. Joe aircraft carrier.
Oh,
when I wanted it.
It's
a dark day.
G.I. Joe.
It's a dark day.
Also, the sister show for the Toys That Made Us, the movies that made us, is fantastic as well. Have you not watched that?
Yeah. Could have been on
that
someone
one I haven't seen.
I don't know. It's only 4 episodes. Oh, sorry.
But at least 45 minutes. So each episode's like 45 to 50 minutes or so.
Yeah.
So you get like a good watch.
Yeah, it reminds me a lot of like old school VH1, which I really miss, like all those shows from back in the day.
I miss pop-up video.
Like I love the 80s, I love the 70s, I love the 90s, all those shows. It kind of reminds me of just another one of those. So I wouldn't be surprised if Netflix eventually just does those all again, because it seems like something people want to
They
watch.
bring everything else back.
They did.
I think Didn't VH1 have a show called I Love Toys as one of them? Like towards the end, I swear there was one that was called I Love Toys. So
Very
pretty
possible.
sure-
You
Yeah.
wouldn't be wrong, honestly. You probably
Yeah.
would. I mean, they
Mini
did
series on VH1.
80s, 90s.
Yeah, it was like after I Love the 70s, Volume 3 or something. They did I Love Toys. So, I mean, it's a great concept, and I've only watched one of them because I didn't play with most of the toys they talked about, but I watched the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle ones and loved it.
Yeah.
That was a dope episode.
I've not yet watched the professional wrestling episode because I know I will lose my shit, and I know people who collect professional wrestling action figures. So I want to make sure I like it before I recommend it to them.
Yeah, nice pick.
All
All
right.
right.
Ryan, what's that?
Oh my
Turn the plane into a nosedive, Hulk
He's got my
Hogan.
brother. He's got a whole set. Or he had a whole set.
What you gonna do, brother? What you gonna? No, he's not on my hit list right now. He's in my show.
Yeah, if you would have had
Brutus-
him as the
Brutus
Zodiac, I
Kincaid.
would be impressed. So,
Yeah.
but no, that is still pretty crazy.
Was
Jesus.
that Rick Rude?
Yep.
Oh, Rick.
Yes.
Oh, Rick Rude. Rick Rude.
You only pulled out one person who's still alive. That's depressing.
Pants
I know.
removable. Is Rick Pants removable? No.
Oh, wow. That's aged poorly. That is aged very poorly. Wait, so you just had this in a bag on your couch, ready?
Kind of, because someone was talking about him the other day, so I busted him out.
Okay.
I got
Yeah.
like one extra little toy.
There he is. There he is. Best promo on AEW right now is anytime that guy
Yeah.
gets the mic. Absolutely.
Oh, I saw him do stand up when I was on the Jericho cruise. He was fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh, demolition.
This is now derailed into a wrestling talk show.
Yeah.
No, there's only two left.
All right.
Only two left.
No,
Okay.
we're just showing off the toys. It's fantastic.
The greatest thing that ever did was drag the big dad down a highway.
And last but certainly not least,
DiBiase.
with the $1 billion
The
belt.
whip.
Nice.
Peggy, after this, I'm gonna show you the wrestling belts I got.
Sorry, just had to do that.
All right.
Yeah, we don't want this to take up the whole thing.
All right. So let's get train back on track because
Yikes.
let's just quickly get derailed.
Adam,
but-
save us. Adam, save
Adam-
us. Mention something good.
All right. Well, in the vein of professional wrestling, I have a film that was directed by one of my favorite filmmakers, Werner Herzog. Has nothing to do with professional wrestling.
He loves wrestling.
He does. He does.
He really does. He cannot stop talking about wrestling.
Google Herzog WrestleMania.
There's a whole
And-
article. It's like Werner Herzog cannot stop talking about WrestleMania. Like
Yeah.
for like 20, 30 years. It's the weirdest shit ever.
I want to hear an audio version of him doing that in his WrestleMania. I'll listen to that for hours.
I want him on commentary one night. That's it. Him and Oscar. Make it happen.
So before we actually get back to Adam's pick for Werner Herzog, if you want to see the weirdest video ever, watch the video of him getting shot.
Oh yeah, he doesn't care.
Yeah, it's like he's getting interviewed by Mark Kermode, and it's literally just a case of like, oh, I'm bleeding. Oh, I've been shot. It's just like the most calmest person in the history of ever. Just like, okay.
He's been through much worse. He's been through much worse.
That's true.
I know a dog named Werner Herzog.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Good person.
All right, now serious time. Adam, back to your pick.
All right. So my third pick is a documentary film, technically a documentary. Herzog refers to all of his films, whether they're narrative or nonfiction, as the ecstatic truth, which I love. And one of his films, it's a Netflix original, technically, because they bought it after it premiered at festivals, is Into the Inferno. Into the Inferno is a documentary where Herzog travels the world, and he goes to Ethiopia, Indonesia, Iceland, and North Korea to visit active volcanoes and film them up close and everything. And so basically what he does is he goes to all these volcanoes, gets some really cool footage, talks with a lot of the locals, people who have survived past eruptions, sees what kind of unifies all these cultures across the world. based on this unique experience. And I don't want to give too much away about when he goes to North Korea, but let me just put it this way. Herzog plus a volcano plus North Korea is not boring. So just watch, like, just go into it knowing that you get that at the end, and everything leading up to it is fascinating as well. You have his trademark commentary throughout the entire film, talking about the futility of existence and the beauty of nature and how they go hand in hand. And this is not a film that you can watch anywhere but Netflix. There's no physical release of this film. It's exclusive to Netflix. And it's kind of something that transcends all genres, like a lot of his work. I think no matter what you're into, you can watch this and get a lot out of it. And he's not there to throw a bunch of statistics about volcanoes at you. He's there to talk to you about the raw human experience of living around one. And also demonstrating that he has literally no fear. He does not care if he dies. He steps up to liquid hot magma and just talks. So it's awesome.
Liquid hot magma.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I've seen this movie a couple times now.
Yes, I will have you know, Garth, that Werner Herzog also directed one of my favorite Nicolas Cage movies, which is Bad Lieutenant, Port of Call, New Orleans. So,
yeah.
Talk about a man with range.
And another great documentary, best documentary comedy of all time, Grizzly Man, also.
Grizzly Man's amazing. And then a film that Herzog didn't direct, but he was the subject of, was Burden of Dreams, about the making of Fitzcarraldo, where that in that film he had to have people physically pull a riverboat over a hill in the Amazon. And people died during the production of that film, and that documentary is pretty fascinating.
Wow. All right.
Chico hates Fitzcarraldo.
Chico is a big Fitzcarraldo fan. Yeah. No, that's a great pick. Was not on my list actually, of my 5, but was on my consideration list for sure. So.
Gotta give it some love. Give it some love.
What are you taking, Aaron? Because you're up.
Okay, so I am going to go with a movie we were talking about a little bit earlier, and I almost did bring this up when we were talking about remakes and that kind of ruin originals. And this will now, and we were just bringing up Nicolas Cage also. I am not talking about the remake of The Wicker Man with Nicolas Cage. I'm talking about the 1973 original Wicker Man, directed by Robin Hardy. It is. I've got some horror fans on the panel that can back me up on this, I'm sure. It is one of the best horror movies I've ever seen in my life. I was blown away by this movie. It's an hour and a half long. It feels like it's like 3.5 hours, and I mean that in a really good way, mostly because the last 30 minutes, honestly, are just dreadful. But I've really gotten into 70s movies over this quarantine, I'll be honest. And when I saw this, I was upset that I hadn't seen it sooner, because I just always thought about the bees and Nicolas Cage. But it's the best Christopher Lee I've ever seen in my life. You'll never see Christopher Lee the same after this movie. It is just him as Lord Summerisle is just without spoiling it, I wasn't expecting it to be so musical. The music in it is just excellent. This movie, it's not like you've got to search for it usually. It's not usually on the first 10 on any of the categories, and it's not recommended. It wasn't recommended to me, even though I watch a lot of this kind of horror, and I loved it. And it's on there right now. It is a great watch. So the 1973 original Wicker Man, and it's directed by a female. And I think that Robin Hardy didn't get enough work back then, because this movie was awesome, and she should be more well known. So Wicker Man 73.
All right. Can't say I've ever seen it. Anyone else here have it?
Oh, I back that up 100%. It popped back in vogue after Midsommar came out for good reason. There's some thematic parallels, but they're very different movies. But if you liked Midsommar, you should definitely see The Wicker Man, or revisit it if you haven't seen it in a long time. The Nicolas Cage version, just watch the supercut on YouTube. It shows you all the good parts.
Yeah, it's very bad. It's very bad. It's just so weird. But,
Or just a nostalgic character review where he gives you his top 10 best bear jokes.
See, I grew up. I was on cable, and there was a channel that always showed the old Hammer horror films. So I had a real love for Christopher Lee growing up, and I can't remember when, but I was definitely like a teenager when I saw that pop up, and I was like blown away at how good this movie really is, and I was like singing its praises for a long time. I haven't seen it in years. I'm glad to know that it's on there. I think that is something that's on my agenda for the weekend.
Yeah, like it's like I couldn't believe how much damage a shitty remake could do to an incredible film. But like this is like legit an amazing movie. Like that.
Mm-hmm.
And
That's Hollywood. That's Hollywood for you. It's on the original.
It's so great. Like you hear and you think you kind of know how it goes, and you're like, oh yeah, I know the Wicker Man. Like I had no idea, man. This movie is amazing. Like,
It's the international difference.
Yeah, sorry, you go ahead, Tony. Yeah,
So I was going to say this is where the international difference comes in, because over here, Wicker Man is seen as one of the greatest films of all time. It's like if you talk about British horror, it's in one of the top. It's in the top 5 British horror films of all time. To the point where our biggest theme park has a ride called the Wicker Man.
Oh, cool.
Nice.
It's made out of wood, and it's the most terrifying thing you'll ever be on. However, be careful, because Robin Hardy did make a sequelish thing to the Wicker Man in 2012 called The Wicker Tree.
Yeah, I've heard it's quite bad.
It's brutal.
Not everybody can bat 1,000.
Yeah. There's a reason why she took 4 years to make it.
A lot of the great filmmakers towards the end, just like in our own lives, it ain't pretty as it goes down at the end. So.
Yeah.
One other thing I'll add about this movie, I remember only seeing a third of it, but I do remember that from conversations I've had in film classes about this movie, that when it comes to the religious themes that comes across, it's very subtle at the same time. Like it's built into the foundation, but it's not hit you over the head with it like the Nicolas Cage one.
No.
It's more of just it's kind of like a battle of wills, but ultimately at the same time, it's like the moment this guy comes this place, he's already doomed.
Yeah, it's really. I mean, I saw it now for the first time. I think 3 or 4 weeks ago for the first time, and it is a haunting movie. It sticks with you. It's really, really. I mean, the whole ending is just and the use of music in 70s horror movies. I'm just a huge fan of that. Like, I wish that never went away, because it really adds to the bizarreness of the situation when they're just like. You are like brought into the world of the character throughout this entire movie, where you're just like, what is happening here? Like, what if, like, you feel like you're there with them. So highly recommend. And usually when I brought this up, people are like, not the bees. So like, I think it's worth even more bringing up, because it's like, fuck that remake.
To be fair, the same thing's been said of Boris Karloff's The Mummy, and people just think of Brendan Fraser's Mummy.
Yeah, please don't mention it. Probably will attack us.
It's just this one is like just the one that I think, it'd be interesting to see a list of remakes that most ruin the original's legacies. This has to be close to that top, though.
You can always do that as a topic.
That'd be a fun topic.
I was literally just sending Peggy a message saying originals are way better than the remakes as a topic.
That'd be a fantastic topic.
You'd have a harder time finding remakes that are actually better than the originals.
True.
Yeah, but about remakes ruining originals. That's what's fun about it.
Why not?
All right,
so let's quickly go for a breakdown of what people went for this round. So Bill was first, and he went with Swiss Army Man. Then Peggy went with Afterlife. Brian went with The Toys That Made Us. Adam went with Into the Inferno, and then Aaron went with The Wicker Man from '73. It's not the bees.
Not the bees. Okay, so now for my fourth pick here. First of all, I don't think I'm going to end up getting a documentary on my list, so I just wanted to mention my favorite documentary episode, which is of The Losers, episode 4, which is called Stone Cold. It's about 1987's curling competition, and in Canada. Oh my God. it is the best 45 minutes of anything on Netflix. So episode 4, Stone Cold, the 1987 curling championship in, believe Edmonton. The Canadian trash talk, the mustaches, it's everything. So but unfortunately, there's not enough episodes of The Losers that I can pick it as my pick. So I just wanted to mention that.
Yeah, we'll do honorable mentions at the end, Aaron.
Anyways, enough about that. My pick is very easy pick for me. I'm going to get my A24 pick in here. And it's my favorite A24 movie and therefore one of my favorite movies on this earth. I adore it. Colin Farrell, Rachel Weisz, The Lobster. There's a time and a place that adds to how much you love a movie. I saw this movie after I got out of the worst relationship of my life. It was on my birthday, and I saw it with my mom, who never sees movies. So, without spoiling too much of this movie, it is about a world where basically it is illegal to be single, which everybody, when they get out of a relationship, that's how they feel. They feel like it's illegal to be that way. And I was like angsty little 20-year-old when I saw this movie for the first time. And I just thought, oh, the world is horrible. And everybody is just, and the dark comedy in this movie, Yorgos Lanthimos, how he displays dialogue, all of that it works for me. It's a very odd way of presenting things. And it's not for everybody. John C. Reilly is great in this movie, as he is in most movies. I just will never forget the first time I saw this movie. And just overall, it's not a perfect movie, but it's one of my favorite movies of all time. So The Lobster. I've talked about it a bunch, so I don't need to belabor the point, but I love this movie. And Yorgos.
Best Yorgos Lanthimos.
I didn't love it. I know that everyone is kind of just like either you adore it or you're just like, eh. So I guess I'm kind of falling into the category of it all. Anyone else?
Or you fall into the I never saw it category, like I did. So I just never got around to seeing it. So
this was more of it skated right past me the moment I heard about it, honestly. This is around the time when I was working with so many of my old college buddies when they were doing short films. I was helping them out. So by the time I finally started hearing words of it about The Lobster, it was already out of theaters. So it was just kind of shit. Whenever I can find this.
Well, you can now. It's on Netflix.
Yep.
Well, you got that, and you got Killing of a Sacred Deer popped on there, so you can do a double feature. I still need to get around to both of those, I'm ashamed to admit. So I will watch them both, Aaron.
I heard
please do.
Killing of a Sacred Deer is rough.
Yeah, Yorgos Lanthimos is one of my favorite filmmakers in existence today. A lot of his characters, they feel like they're aliens playing humans. So yeah, I think you'll dig it. I'm looking forward to hearing your thoughts on it.
All right. So Aaron kicks off round number 4 with The Lobster. It moves us over to Adam with his 4th overall.
So I was on the fence if this was going to be 4 or 5, but I flipped it to 4 because I think it deserves, a refresher that people know it exists. So a lot of us really like these John Wick movies. I'm included. I really am. I really enjoy all 3 of those movies, and I also love both of the Raid movies. There's something about just well executed action, like the precision of carnage, things like that. As long as you have the stomach for it. And one of the movies that came out on Netflix about a year and a half ago that I kind of think flew under the radar, but it is, I wouldn't say it's necessarily up there with the Raid movies, but it is very close. It would be The Night Comes for Us. So The Night Comes for Us is a film that stars, I think it's Joe Taslim from the Raid 2 and Iko Uwais from both Raid movies. The martial arts are absolutely breathtaking to watch. It is very violent like the Raid movies and John Wick movies, but again, you're talking like long takes of big fights, like 1 or 2 guys taking out like 50 to 100 dudes fighting with, like rusty blades that they can find in like a random auto body shop. So the horror fan and the action fan in me is satisfied simultaneously. And if you've watched the Raid and John Wick movies a lot and you love that kind of action and you're just craving something that is on that level of quality, The Night Comes for Us is the the closest thing on Netflix right now that I could recommend.
All right, Midnight comes from.
Has anyone seen
Yeah,
it?
that is one movie that definitely skated past me. And I try to watch as many martial arts epics on Netflix as I can find.
No,
Yeah, I've
seriously,
seen it.
I
I
have
really,
not
really
seen
enjoyed
that.
it.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it a lot. So yeah, it's definitely a good solid watch.
Actually, I know there is this one martial arts TV show Netflix original show that he did. It's called Blue Assassins. I know he's in it, and the show, it didn't grab me though, but it was just like an interesting foray to see him. It's not all subtitled. He's speaking in English 100% throughout the entire show. It's produced by Catherine Winnick, who's part of Vikings, and she's in the show as well.
Mhm.
It's like something very interesting, you know. And if he is in The Night Comes for Us, I'm definitely going to look for that.
Yeah, so what happens, the basic premise is Joe Taslim, who's like one of the bad guys from Raid 2, is the hero of this. And he and Iko Uwais are like old buddies. And what happens is Taslim's character spares a young girl from a killing by a drug cartel, essentially. And so as a result, he's like John Wick excommunicado. He has to fight everybody. And it's pretty awesome.
Okay, I'm definitely going to check that out.
It looks amazing. I just saw a quick clip of it there, just like, yes.
It is such a satisfying action film. Yeah.
Let's take a break from my Bond marathon. I'm going to watch this movie.
Yeah, it's like crazy how people always talk about Netflix originals and it's kind of a negative thing, and then you hear about like one off the beaten path like this that's like a truly quality piece of work that no one's even heard of. So Netflix is deep with their catalog, because this didn't even make my list, but I actually enjoyed this. So great pick.
Nice.
Well, looks like you got a few people on board with that one. Adam, we move over to Ryan with his 4th overall pick. Ryan, take it away.
Okay, my 4th. I had a guarantee for my 4th pick, but looking back over my potential list, I realized that there is one TV show I need to put on my list, and it's like, you know, like Netflix. It's like, you know, it's one of those publicly broadcast shows you find on cable, like on NBC or Fox or CBS, and then it gets put to Netflix. I didn't see this show when it was on primetime, and when I see it on Netflix, I thought to myself, what the hell was I doing? I love the themes of this show, where it's about your morality. Were you a good person in your life to qualify, and can you be a good person in your afterlife? The writing is fantastic. The cast is incredible. And also, whenever there is a joke about Jacksonville, Florida, I can't help but laugh. And that my pick is The Good
What are you talking about?
The Good Place. That's my pick. The Good Place it stars Kristen Bell. It has Ted Danson, and it's about your life after. Kristen Bell plays a character who ends up in the good place, pretty much heaven. But it turns out that in her previous life before she died, she was pretty much a dirtbag person living in Arizona. And she meets this professor of ethics who unfortunately has been roped in as her soulmate, and he has to keep this secret. But in exchange, she's learning on how to be a better person, not trying to think selfishly, but for herself. And along the way, you meet these other characters like Janet, who is an omnipresent being that knows everything. It can get everything for you.
Not a robot.
Not a robot. And then there is Tahani, who is this socialite, wealthy person with a stick up her butt. And then you got the character of Jason Mendoza, and he is from Jacksonville, Florida. He's pretty much just a naive goofball who's meant to be the butt of the joke. But the actor who portrays Jason Mendoza gives this character such wholesome and childlike goof and charm. You can't help but like him. But it's just very good. And there's this twist in the first season that flips the entire show on its head. So when you I'm not spoiling it. I'm just saying that
just in case. But
I haven't seen any of this show, so don't ruin it. Otherwise, I won't watch it.
I'm just saying the twist makes the rewatchability even better, because then when you rewatch it, you are in on the joke. And it's multi-layered throughout the entire first season, going into the second. And the show ended this year with its final season, 4th season. So the moment that 4th season, the later episodes are on Hulu, not the whole season. But the moment that is on, the 4th season on The Good Place, I'm going to watch it from beginning to end once again. Probably have myself a good cry at the series finale, knowing it's not going to be done anymore, while having a few laughs towards the end. And I'm just gonna say, it's a great cast. You guys should just check out a couple episodes. Yes, best part, The Good Place. It takes its full advantage of censoring, so it's awesome. It makes a joke about censoring, which is awesome.
Yeah, if I was playing, this would have been my first overall pick. I adore this show with passion. Like it's a Netflix thing over here. It doesn't get shown anywhere else. It's just like it was like everything.
It was on my list, but it was not. It was in like the maybe 10, 15. I want to say it's like 12.
This was actually going to be an honorable mention, but I'm thinking no. Even though it's a 30-minute show, I still love to rewatch the episodes.
Yeah,
seeing Eleanor's journey from being this dirtbag who came from a broken family, and then you see her actually become a good person, think for herself, wanting to sacrifice her choices for other people. So this matches not only the character's journey, but it does a good job on asking, are the choices in your past life going to dictate how you live in your afterlife?
Yeah. So, Aaron, you said you've not watched it. Has anyone else not watched it? Out of curiosity, or?
I've seen my wife watches it pretty fervently, so I've caught episodes here and there, and I definitely like what I've seen. So it might be one of those things that we start from the beginning.
Yeah. I believe the showrunners, the writers are the same people who wrote Parks and Rec. And yes. Yeah. So it's got some good writing in there.
Yeah, the guy that's behind Brooklyn Nine-Nine. He was a big part of The Office, late series, Parks and Rec. So it's a good
it's wonderfully hilarious. It's one of my favorite shows. It really is.
Yeah.
Fun fact: the actress who plays Janet used to be Bill Hader's nanny.
Yes, Darcy.
Is that why she's on Barry?
Yeah.
Okay, which is another great show. Not on Netflix, but you should watch it. Fantastic. If you like Bill Hader, go for it.
But anywho, Preston Aaron, it is over to me with my next pick. Ladies, are any out there still? Christina, if you're still in the chat, not sure. But here's another one for you guys. This is a Netflix original series, only has 3 seasons. Hoping to get the 4th as of now, no real word. But there is a petition with like about 300,000 signatures trying to get a 4th season of the show called Anne with an E. It is a retelling of the old book Anne of Green Gables. It is very, very girly show, so I can't imagine many of the panelists have seen it, but it is excellent if you dig precocious preteens.
None of us are going to get that on the stream tonight.
Not even heard of this.
Yeah, no, I'm not into preteens.
You are right, Peggy. I have not seen it.
I figured as much, but you want to know what? I happen to adore it. It's about 10 episodes each season. I want to say they're about 40 minutes long each. Oh, so good, though. If you read Anne of Green Gables as a child, you're going to love this show.
Nice.
But, yeah, I figured it'd be cricket in this panel.
No, honestly, I'm glad I know about that one, because that's another one I can put in the contender list with the missus. Trying to find things to watch together. You know?
Yeah, I think that's kind of a good thing. We should. I mean, I think that was the whole point. We all recommend certain programs, TV shows, documentaries that we've come across on Netflix or never heard of. I mean, I didn't know Night Comes Before Us. I didn't know the original Wicker Man was on Netflix, but now that I do, so much more on my list to put down.
But the topic for the show. This is what we were hoping for. So yeah,
This is a great one.
And with an E. Back to Bill.
Okay. So it's time for the only TV show that I put on my list. I have a bunch that were in there, but they just didn't make the cut. But if I'm going to be inside for a while, I want some kind of comfort. And I like movies, even when they're bad. I love movies in general. And when I was a kid, my favorite show that I found by accident that I've loved to this day, and then it came back, it is Mystery Science Theater 3000.
Yeah, nice.
Just to be clear, okay? All right. I am a lifelong fan. All right, like this is the best show that's ever been made. It introduced me to a world of cinema that just I didn't know existed. Now all of the older episodes aren't on there anymore, which is a crime against humanity. They do have a Twitch channel. It runs all the time. They're always playing stuff on there. There's also a bunch of riff tracks on Amazon Prime. But anyway, we're focusing on the new series. So when it came back, I was a little concerned. It was like, okay, but everybody came back for it. They got a whole new cast. Jonah Ray immediately goes into his own as the host. The bots are great. Felicia Day, and just a lot of people from all the shows you love were so happy that this came back. They all went in to be writers for this. People from Community, people from Parks and Rec, all of them were in that writers' room. They were begging for it. And it shows, and the humor still works after all these years. I highly recommend Cry Wilderness of the new series. And also, I can highly recommend the Mac and Me episode from season 2.
Oh, yes.
Because it's fucking Mac and Me, and they destroy this movie. It is so good. Mystery Science Theater 3000. What else do I need to say?
I can't remember all the jokes. I just remember laughing so hard. I was gonna watch an episode from the new season before I started my Bond marathon, and then it just got pushed to the wayside. But yeah, I love the new version. I mean, yeah, I got to see a few of the classic ones. I mean, some of my favorite YouTube creators out there always did jokes from Mystery Science Theater, so I'm like, yes, I finally understand your jokes. Now I can rewatch and understand with you.
I have to admit, I haven't seen any of the reboot, but I did catch Mystery Science Theater 3000 back in the day when it used to air really late night on Comedy Central, I believe it was. But yes, I will add it to my queue because I used to laugh.
Yeah, I will echo Bill's sentiments on this. The reboot was very satisfying when it came back. It was like getting a hug, if you grew up watching that show. Jonah Ray's awesome, and the episodes you mentioned are great, but I also got to give a shout out to Avalanche, which is one of my favorites. It's this movie, a natural disaster movie, late 70s with Rock Hudson, where he's romantically involved inappropriately with a really young woman. And he mentions going to lunch at the beginning of the film like 3 times, and the guys don't let it go after that. Like every time it cuts to him, they're like, should we go to lunch? It's hilarious.
But
So good.
I never watched the original because it wasn't a thing over here, but with the remake, I watched it because of Jonah Ray. Because I was a massive fan of Nerdist podcast, so I was like, so yes, need more of him. It was just like, yeah, okay, this is weird. I don't understand the jokes. I don't understand why they're in space or anything like this, but it's hilarious.
You don't need to. That's just the premise. It's fine.
Also, I like the fact that it was a Kickstarter campaign. It was the Told Critical Role. It was the highest grossing film or TV.
I was on that campaign. I still have my shirt. So
nice.
that I got from it. I never wear it. So
All right. So that closes out round 4. Tony, recap it up.
Absolutely. All right. So the penultimate round. Aaron was first up and he went with The Lobster, Yorgos Lanthimos' greatest film. Adam then went with The Night Comes For Us. Ryan went with The Good Place. Peggy went with Anne with an E. And Bill went with Mystery Science Theater 3000.
All right, so that brings us to our 5th and final round. Choose carefully, gentlemen. This rounds out your team. Bill, kick it off for us.
all right. So I'm gonna go back to my original Off the Beaten Path. And I have a long list of stuff that just didn't make the cut. But I wanted to go with something that what's that?
I said we'll get to honorable mentions.
Yeah, we'll get to that. So I wanted to pick something a little different, kind of switch up, like show outside of my normal wheelhouse. So I went with a little-known movie called Camera Store, and you've probably never heard of it. So Camera Store stars one of my favorite actors that I feel like never gets enough love, and that is John Larroquette, and he is the bulk of this film. So the premise of the movie is he is a manager of this camera store in a mall in 1994 that is just on the cusp of having digital about to happen. So it's the idea of the guy in the twilight of his years, and he's having trouble like letting go. John Rhys Davies is in it, who's also fantastic, and like I'm a huge fan of John Larroquette. I always feel like he's gotten saddled with the Dan Fielding from Night Court, and he's never really had like a lot of opportunities to kind of break out of that. Or if you're younger and weren't born in the 1980s or 70s, like I was, he was on The Librarians or some show. I don't know.
Boston Legal for me.
There you go.
Last season of Boston Legal.
Yeah, but I would not say that this movie's great. It's pretty good, but I recommend this movie just on his performance alone because he knocks it out of the park. If you're a fan of his, it's worth a watch. I highly recommend it. So,
Never heard of it.
Me never.
I appreciate it. I've never ever heard of this movie. I don't want to know more about it. I'm going to add it to my queue and just watch it.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, it's a quick movie. It's a fast watch. It's like it doesn't overstay its welcome. It has some pacing problems, but I mean, like if you leave with anything, it's his performance is really what it all comes down to. Yeah,
I will say I will check it out. I'm intrigued, but I did take a second to look up the director's filmography, and he made one other movie called Blonde Ambition with Jessica Simpson. Do you remember that movie? Did anyone ever see that?
Yeah, this is tonally different. So I will just say that. So
that's great.
Okay, so that brings it around to me. I was going to take a completely different title, if you will, but I figure if everyone's going to go with more of a deep cut that I think people haven't seen yet, I guess I'm going to go with this one. This is a very campy, like live audience, you know, with the laugh track and everything, but it has a nice twist because it's like set on a ranch, and you got people like Ashton Kutcher, and you've got Sam Elliott, Deborah Winger in it, and it would be the show called The Ranch. Has anyone watched The Ranch yet?
We're not going to mention Danny Masterson. We're not going to bring that one up.
No, well, because he got kind of Me Too'd, and Dax Shepard came in and kind of took over his role for him. So
yeah.
It's got little tiny quips of humor. I thoroughly enjoyed watching it. Kind of brought me back to the old days of sitcoms and with the forced laugh tracks behind it. But I enjoy it. I figured more people need to see it. You got 8 seasons of it, so you got plenty of material to watch. We've got time in our hands. Might as well go for one with a little bit of length to it. So I'm picking The Ranch.
Interesting choice.
And
I've seen a couple episodes here and there. It's not bad. It was one of those I backburned it and never got around to like finishing it. So, and then the whole thing with Danny Masterson happened, and I was like, all right. That's still why I haven't finished House of Cards. I still haven't finished that. So.
I can't watch Beethoven's Second anymore because of Danny Masterson.
Oh wow, the greatest.
Watched it before?
The second one, yeah, it's a classic. He falls in.
I don't know. It's no Problem Child 2, but whatever. So.
Oh boy, that's another
that's a whole other episode.
Weekend at Bernie's too, guys. We'll have that conversation eventually.
That's a good little triple header there.
Yeah.
As long as we never have to talk about Major League 3.
Okay.
Oh God.
Back to the money. Yeah. That
Fair
Someone loves that film. I think Maru.
Major League 3?
Yeah, I think Maru chose it for the best under 25% Rotten Tomatoes, and like
everybody was with them till that. That's what's awesome. Everybody's like, you had me till Major League 3.
3 people managed to show up for it, so they're like, "Fine, get Ted McGinley. He's not doing anything." Like, oh, it's not good.
I know, so no one talking about The Ranch.
It's all right. I just want to show them love. If we go extra rounds,
good.
I'm pretty sure that's the ones that's going to get knocked off of my top 5. So, hey.
Oh, God. Amaro's here. Hi, Amaro.
I like Ashton Kutcher's work outside of acting than his regular acting work now. I mean, peak Ashton Kutcher for me was
Punked.
That 70s show, Dude, Where's My Car? I did not like 2.5 Men when Charlie Sheen was on it. Still didn't like when Ashton Kutcher took over. I tried. I'm on and off with his performance in The Butterfly Effect and Jobs, but it's worth. Hey, I didn't talk shit about it, Maru. Screw you.
Fight.
All right.
Fight.
Well,
All right. Well,
yeah.
I prefer blue cheese to ranch. So,
oh, I put Buffalo. Well, Ryan, since you were talking, it's your last pick.
Okay. I wanted to go outside of it too, but there was just one show. It's a TV show, and this show kind of represents something that Netflix can do well, and that is take a TV show that was on prime time that was canceled, but it had a lot of traction and a strong fan base to where people wanted to see it on a subscription service like Netflix or Hulu and Amazon, and hopefully do the material justice. Not only did Netflix succeed at it, it was able to garner a fifth season for the show and a potential season 6, and that is the TV show Lucifer.
Totally thought you were going to say Arrested Development.
I'm sorry.
I was definitely ready for Arrested Development.
We all were.
What a twist.
Yeah, and that's the thing about the show Lucifer. The show is pretty much about the main character, who is Lucifer Morningstar, the devil. And the biggest twist in the movie is, in the show, he doesn't hide who he is. It's just where he lives in LA, nobody believes him. Because LA, when you go to LA or when you go over to a city, you see people, LA is mainly a town of people who are trying to make it big, or they're trying to pretend to be something they're not. So whenever a guy walks up and says, "Hello, I'm Lucifer Morningstar," he's British, so I'm not going to pull a British accent.
Yeah,
but he, "Hello, I'm Lucifer Morningstar. I'm the devil. What do you desire?" Like, get the fuck away from me. But Tom Ellis is fantastic in this TV show. He is incredibly charming, devilishly good looking. And one thing that he does so well with this character is that he takes you on this journey of Lucifer having to deal with being the Lord of Hell while trying to just, be like a child, disobey their parents. But at the same time, it's a cop procedural. And in every episode, Lucifer, he's this egomaniac who's trying to tie the case into his own personal issues. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but it's the journey he goes through. And the supporting cast that follows, from Laura German, Kevin Alejandro, Amy Garcia, D.B. Woodside, Rachel Taylor. It's just an incredible cast to follow here. And the fact that it got canceled in its third season when it did a finale on a cliffhanger, the fans were so upset. They wanted it back. They did protest. They did little writings to companies bringing it back. So when it got picked up by Netflix, it was amazing that it pushed it to a 5th season and a potential 6th season. That's why I picked Lucifer, because it did something that Netflix does best, is take programs that were never given the chance to shine and actually give them a platform to where they can succeed.
Yes, I haven't seen any of this.
So. All the episodes are on Netflix. You can just mainly watch the pilot. It's not for everybody.
I've heard that it's one of the best TC shows before TC, like the Arrowverse, came into fruition.
Yeah, and how dare you, Garth? How dare you, Garth? I love you, Garth, but how dare you?
Now, we all know the best DC show is Legend of Tomorrow, and anybody who disagrees is a fool and a communist. So,
2 words. 2 words. Doom Patrol.
Legend of Tomorrow.
Bebo.
So Peggy,
Bebo and the animated series.
So Peggy's had to go. Put a phone in the freezer. That's a legitimate statement that we have to say.
No, yeah.
I've been there. Yeah, no,
I've been there.
Phone in the freezer would be a good name for a team.
She should just turn it on in the freezer and talk from the freezer. That would be great.
All right, so we'll move on without
Tales from the freezer.
I think that's going to be her new show. Tales from the freezer. All right, but we'll move on. Adam, your final pick for this round. You're muted.
Yeah.
Child again.
No worries.
So what I was going to say is, I wanted the tiebreaker for me was picking something you can only watch on Netflix right now. It is an exclusive. So it's a horror film that I really found riveting as soon as I saw it. As soon as I finished watching it, I read the book when I found out there was a book, and that is The Ritual. The Ritual is a movie about four friends, British gentlemen, and they live. There's a horrible tragedy within their group of friends, and about a year later, they decide to go on a camping trip in Sweden to kind of, get past it and heal and all that kind of stuff. And as they go further into these woods in the Swedish countryside, it starts to become more of a survival story. Kind of like the stuff that was implied in Blair Witch is actually happening, and it's really unsettling to watch. But the reason it's fun to it's an interesting story is because it's about these four core friends. It gives off a lot of vibes to The Descent, which I think is a great horror film as well. That really, there's all these horrific things that are happening, but it's really about the dramatic tension between these friends, the grudges they hold against each other, the things they blame each other for that have happened in the past. And The Ritual touches on that in a lot of meaningful ways. And there's a lot of good scares. And without giving too much away, there is something supernatural to it, but that's kind of just the set dressing for a really good human drama, in my opinion. And the scares kind of extend from all the natural drama that's actually happening. So The Ritual, I think, is great. And if you end up liking it, the book is arguably even better. So really, really solid horror movie, in my opinion.
This is the 2017 one with Race Ball.
Yes.
Yep. I heard good things about this because it didn't have a massive release, but when it did, it was like, oh yeah, we actually got quite a bit of love.
Yeah, it got a small theatrical release, and then Netflix picked it up for distribution, so it's only available there now. But it is well worth seeing, and even if you're not a horror fan, I think you can get a lot out of the movie for sure.
Yeah, I saw this, I think, right when it released. I didn't really know what it was, and I was very, very impressed with all four of the performances by the leads. Another movie that it reminded me of in a lot of themes and kind of execution a little bit was Annihilation, actually.
I could see that.
Which is a
very good movie. So that's
huge.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm not saying it's as good as Annihilation, but it definitely goes along to like giving you to that second, third level of and just kind of the survival aspects and just the surreal horror imagery. And I think this is one that not enough people talked about. So
there's some true really nightmarish imagery in it, that just stuff you've never seen before that you can't even like preconceive. So it's a really cool movie.
Yeah, I agree.
And it has multiple axes from Coronation Street in it, so that's always a bonus for me.
There you go.
And it has
play to your audience.
All right. Peggy, can you hear us and can you talk? Let's just double check.
Yeah, good. I needed to get a new ice pack and throw my phone in the freezer for a little bit, but hopefully that'll be the only time I cut out on you. Fingers crossed. I'm hoping.
All right. Seriously, I need to just buy you an air conditioner at some point. All right, and so we go then to the final pick for this. Aaron.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. This is hard. Let's see.
Don't do your honorable mention. Do not do your honorable mention.
I'm stuck between a couple, and I'm not going to be doing my honorable. I'm not going to be doing my honorable mentions here. I'm just trying to decide which one I want to not be honorable and make my list. And I keep looking between two movies. And I am going to. I'll go with the trend. I'll go with a Netflix original or a Netflix distributed movie. It actually was nominated for an Oscar at this past Oscars. And it was a foreign animated film called I Lost My Body. It is a French animated film. It is absolutely, absolutely beautiful. I saw this movie the night that it was released, and it had me in absolute tears throughout in a very good way. It is it's two stories that take place simultaneously. One is a disembodied hand, basically a la whatever the Addams Family hand, and that is about that hand traveling through the city of Paris to reunite with its owner. And the other story is about a kid who falls in love with a girl who he delivers pizzas to through the voice box. And then basically there's just it dips into a lot of flashbacks into tragedies and whatnot. And the animation's beautiful. And then you just have the French language, which I don't speak or understand, but it's just a nice language to hear as you're watching beautiful animation and music. The music's by Dan Levy, I believe it's by Dan Levy. So yeah, it's just a really, really good, thoughtful movie and really beautiful. And I started with a awesome foreign language selection in Dark, and I'll end with I Lost My Body, which so I'll start with Germany, end with France here. But yeah, this is a really great movie.
Keep it in Europe.
Don't mention the war.
Okay, Basil 40. Nope, no one. So this one I've had
just me and you.
Yeah. So this one I've had it on my thing for a while. I've just not gotten around to it. Has anyone else watched it?
I've never even heard of this. So, but that is quite the synopsis. So I'm gonna have to check that one out.
Yeah.
Not seen it myself either.
All right.
It's definitely got my attention, honestly.
Yeah.
It's a really cool movie.
Yeah.
It'll definitely make you cry, and it's not like cheap tactics to get there. It's just it will bring up a lot of shit, which I just think of great art can do at points, and I have no problem admitting that with this movie. So I really recommend it to anybody. It's different.
Definitely check it out.
All right.
So that caps off round 5. Tony, can we get a recap, please?
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll do a quick rundown of what everyone chose. And then if people want to go for like a bonus round or two, we can go for a bonus round. So Bill was first overall, and he went with Girl on the third floor for his first overall pick. Would You Rather for a second, Swiss Army Man for third, Mystery Science Theater 3000 for 4, and Camera Store for 5. Peggy was second. She went with The West Wing, Someone Great, Afterlife, and with an E, and The Ranch. Ryan went with Daredevil, Snowpiercer, The Toys That Made Us, The Good Place, and Lucifer.
That's a funny ending with those two.
I do like that pairing, yeah. Adam went with Twin Peaks, The Haunting of Hill House, Into the Inferno, The Night Comes for Us, and The Ritual. And Aaron went with Dark, There Will Be Blood, The Wicker Man 73, The Lobster, and I Lost My Body.
That sounds like my list.
That sound like you.
So, gentlemen, I know everyone had pretty long lists. Anyone want to go bonus rounds?
Of course, I'll go.
I gotta get going soon because it's bedtime for the kiddo. But
I gotta go.
I would love
to eat my fucking body weight. I'm starving.
All right, well, we won't do bonus rounds. We'll do honorable mentions. That'll be no worries then. And then if people need to jump out, they need to jump out. So we'll start with Adam then. So do you want to run through some of your honorable mentions?
Yeah. So some got mentioned already, like MST3K. So thank you, Bill, for giving that some love. Twilight Zone is on there. Public service announcement. Watch it if you haven't. What's wrong with you? Candyman is on there right now. Everyone should see that too at least once. The remake's coming out, which looks promising. Autopsy of Jane Doe from the director of Troll Hunter and Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. Really, really cool horror film. Gerald's Game, one of the best Stephen King adaptations of the last 10 years. Yep. And one of the, and in my opinion, the best video game adaptation of in any TV or movies, Castlevania.
Yeah.
That was going to be my number 5 before I picked Lucifer.
I grew up playing Castlevania. Symphony of the Night's still my favorite video game. I have it on my phone. It's really hard to play on your phone, but it's a fun challenge. But the series is really, really good. The animation's stunning. Music's awesome. And it does not hold back on the violence.
Awesome. All right. Well, I'll just say quickly in the chat for people that are still with us, if you want to start throwing what you guys would have picked, and I'll throw them up as you do. So we'll go Bill next.
Sure. Couple movies just to round it out. Actually, I'll go with the TV shows that didn't make the list that I wanted to put on there. The IT Crowd, one of my all-time favorites. Never not funny. Always get a good chunk out. Like, anytime I watch, it's fucking great.
Fantastic show. Don't Google the creator. For the love of God, don't.
Doug Lyman is a stack of garbage, but his shows are fucking hilarious. So I can separate the artist from the art. Thank God. Keeping in that vein, if you love Matt Berry, Toast of London is another one. Great, fantastic. I'm Sorry is a great show. It's on there if you haven't seen it. Andrea Savage is, if you're a fan of hers. She's like a single mom comedy writer, and her writing partner is Jason Mantzoukas. And it's a lot of it's just a lot of good pedigree shows up in that show. It's really good. I can't recommend it enough. I think season 2 just dropped on there. Fantastic. Check it out. As far as and Documentary Now is another show that didn't quite make it, but is still fantastic. Bill Hader, Fred Armisen, and just a cast of the usual characters that those guys would bring. It's if you've seen any documentary in your life, it's worth a watch. It's funny. As far as movies, The One I Love is a great movie. If you haven't seen it, highly recommend it. There's only 3 people in the entire film, and if you watch a trailer, you have no idea what this film is about. I'm not even kidding. It's Mark Duplass, Elizabeth Moss, and Ted Danson, and that is it.
Okay.
Whole film, really good. Mindfuck. Great movie.
Nice.
Free Fire is another one. If you like action movies, that is just balls to the wall. Everyone's in a gunfight for 90 straight minutes. I fucking love it. Return to the 36 Chambers I just found on there this morning. So that is a highly recommend watch. I would get right on that. And one of my all-time favorite movies, no matter how many times I've seen it, it just brings joy to my heart, Hot Rod. Hot Rod. Yes!
That's my go-to-sleep movie.
Dude, anything Danny McBride says yes to, I'm in.
I think that's a terrible way of life, but
he's not gone wrong. Anything I've seen him in, he has nailed it. I love Danny McBride.
However, he's also just anything he says yes to, I just there'll be some weird things you'll be up to in your life.
Yeah, but any movie or TV show he says yes to. How's that?
Fair. Ryan, anything?
I definitely had Castlevania on my list along with Hot Rod, and definitely the IT Crowd as well. Those were my honorable mentions. I also had, when it came to TV shows, for something that you wanted to binge that had long seasons, I had Monty Python's Flying Circus. I had Breaking Bad down on there, Parks and Rec. One of my favorite comedies, I love no matter how many times I watch it over and over again, I still laugh. That is the TV show New Girl. And of course, for nostalgic purposes, and because I had recommended the Toys That Made Us, it is Power Rangers, because what the hell? It's on Netflix. I like going back to how much the show is cheesy and campy, but still it had some good fucking subjects of adult content and adult themes that I look back now, I'm like, wait, you set this show in a dystopian future, one where humanity is on the brink of the edge of existence, or one in a technological future where robots are trying to kill us, and this is all in a kid's show? Holy shit! That kind of stuff. And then when it came to originals, I had The Witcher, 7 Deadly Sins, F is for Family, Bill Burr is hilarious, Justin Long is awesome. I also had the show Big Mouth, so dirty, but at the same time, as an adolescent and going through puberty, yeah, I had those same thoughts too. I had that shame. And of course, there's this weird ass anime I came across called Cannon Busters. I mean, this is the out of the ballpark pick. It's pretty much a Western / steampunk / technical genre mixed together, where a guy who's an immortal drives a Chevrolet that he inserts a coin and it turns into a Gundam style bull giant robot. Show's kind of weird. There's only one season so far, but it's really weird. And of course, I had Jessica Jones and The Punisher.
Nice.
I was about to say.
Okay.
Just quickly,
Mhm.
I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Nerdblaze, which Jacoby Bancroft runs, they did covered that anime, if my memory serves. I don't follow anime in the slightest, so I don't know what I'm on about, but I think they did. So if you are interested, go subscribe to Nerdblaze. And speaking of Nerdblaze, Aaron, what are your picks?
All right. Yeah, definitely subscribe to Nerd Blaze, not Nerd
I was
Blaze.
thinking you, yeah,
So,
Nerd Fat Blazers, Mr. J.
yeah. Oh, that also me. So I do have some honorable mentions, believe it or not. TV show wise, Atypical, really good show. You can watch it with your whole family. What a cool show! It's about a high schooler who has autism, and he and his sister who's getting ready to go into her senior year of college. It's like they're a high school. It's basically like a Disney, like a live action Disney show, but I think it's a little more real, and you can watch it with your family or alone, and it's honestly a very just entertaining show. It doesn't really hold back, and gives shine to a population that doesn't get a lot of shine in a non-pandering type of way. So I really like that show. Also, the OA, that show swings for the fences, and I adore it for doing that. It doesn't.
That's a show. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah,
and I totally understand if you hate it. And I love it so much. It's just and what a fun fucking subreddit. Those people believe in that show more than any people believe in any show you'll ever see. Like they're doing like the movements to this day. It's just like a really cool show. Very different. And got canceled, unfortunately, at a time. Then movie wise, there's and then another show that just premiered on 420, The Midnight Gospel, with Duncan Trussell. If you've seen Adventure Time, if you're a fan of Adventure Time at all, this is a must-watch show. It's 8 episodes, 30 minutes long each, covering everything from magic to religion to drugs to death, just everything I love and more. So those are the shows I'd go with. And then movie-wise, there's tons of movies, like Her, for example, is just a perfect classic. Also, The Witch, A24, perfect horror classic. Under the Skin, another A24, just amazing movie. There's so many. And then one Netflix original that I really like that's a horror movie is The Perfection. So if you haven't seen this one, it is wild. It is like a Tales from the Crypt, hour and a half long episode, essentially. So, it's not a perfect movie, but it's a fun watch. And then I believe it's a Korean movie that came out this past year. It's about an individual who has cerebral palsy, and she's going into the world for the first time on her own. And it's basically about her trying to find independence, having a sexual awakening as a 26-year-old, and it's called 37 Seconds. And this movie, it does not pull any punches. It is an incredible character study. I don't know the names of any of the actors in this movie, but it has one of the most shocking and uncomfortable sex scenes you'll ever see. And I don't mean that in a negative. I don't mean that even in a negative way or anything, but it is a movie that, while I can't directly relate to, I kind of resent when people say that anyways, because this is a completely relatable movie. And it is just a very raw, emotionally intense movie, but one I highly, highly recommend. It's 37 seconds because that's the amount of time that a child who's being born goes without oxygen for this to be caused. So it's doesn't pull any punches. It's not The Ringer for sure. It's definitely not that approach to it. So, and it's one that not a lot of people know about. And just one more foreign is Burning, another by Lee Dong Chong. Very good. Stephen Yeun's in it from Walking Dead, and it just is about it's a slow burn for sure, Burning, but it's worth the ride. So those are some of the picks. I could go off on another 20, 30 picks here, but those are ones I'd like to have people actually take a look at. So if I could have a pick, those are the ones.
Yes. Peggy, Your last few?
I had a few just like Netflix staples like The Office and Ozark. Black Mirror. I'm surprised Black Mirror wasn't picked by any of y'all. Great British Bake Off, always a good one. Schitt's Creek. I almost picked Atypical instead of The Ranch. I'm beginning to think I should have picked Atypical instead of The Ranch. The show, the 3%. It's a Brazilian show, is what I thought that Aaron was going to go for. It's kind of like Hunger Games, but it's like 3% of the population makes it to this island that's like basically utopia. It's worth a watch. As far as movies go, About Time is on there now. About Time is one of my favorite movies as of recently. There's also, I forgot, Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee. That's an excellent show. I've never seen that one. But like She's Out of My League is an underappreciated comedy that's now on Netflix. And The Movies That Made Us, similar to The Toys That Made Us. That's a good series. Yeah. So check that out. And I'll end there.
Perfect. And then just quickly in the chat, Anthony Tisdale, Big Mouth, series of unfortunate events and the end of the fucking world, and Brett Caster's stand up. And then we go off with Dark Crystal, Mr. Right, Better Saul, Happy, Matt, Mindhunter.
Yeah, Mindhunter is very good too.
Yeah. I actually had the dark.
My name is Dolomite. I forgot my Dolomite is my name. God damn it! That movie is so good. So good.
Shot no one went for like Marriage Story or Irishman or anything like that.
Yeah.
Marriage Story is great.
It got nominated for Best Picture. So
if I picked America, you guys would have heard me constantly say that bitch Laura Dern if a Marriage Story was on here.
You did not insult Laura Dern in this house.
Yeah. Not a hater character in the movie, that's all.
Sorry.
Go on, Peg.
Can I change my fifth pick to Atypical just because I want to bring more awareness to it? I have a brother who's special needs, so that's one I really should have picked it. Is that cool with you guys?
I worked with absolutely. I worked with special needs throughout high school and college. I was going into special education before I switched over to social work. It's such a cool show, and it's one I could watch with my mom. It's one I can watch with my buddies. Like it's a really strangely versatile show, actually. So, yeah, 2 thumbs up for Atypical.
Thank you guys for allowing me that last minute change.
All right, and we'll just quickly go around the board to plug anything that you need to or whatnot. So, thank you. So, Aaron, since you're talking, do you want to quickly tell people where they can find you?
Yeah, of course. I'm always on Letterboxd, INCUBROcast. That's where I'll be. Otherwise, I'll be on one of these shows again at some point. So, yeah, that's about it. Aaron J on Facebook.
Mm-hmm. And Adam?
I can't seem to say no to matches, so I do play those. So keep an eye out for me in matches. But I am also obsessed with Letterboxd. AIZANTHOR, Eisenthor. Very happy to engage on that social media platform.
He's very supportive on there.
I was about to say, when we bring back Unbox, I have to get you on.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Oh, all about it.
All right, Bill?
You can find me in my house. Except for when I have to go to work, but pretty much that's all I do now. I do not have a Letterboxd. So, but I am on the socials, Philadelphia, PA. It's everything, everywhere. I might still be Cooped Bill on Twitter. I don't remember. I might have to change that. But I do have something in the works. I don't want to let the cat out of the bag just yet, but that should be coming soon. And yeah, watch Turbo Kid.
Turbo Kid.
Also, if you have the DC Universe, you should watch the Harley Quinn show. It's the best show on television right now. It's amazing.
Kite Man. Hell yeah.
The show is fucking brilliant, and more people need to watch it.
Yes.
All right.
Before I go to HBO Max. Okay, sorry. I too have a letterbox as well. My name would be Valentine316. I'm also gonna be on, like, if you might see me on a couple shows here or any trivia matches. I just did a few this weekend. I did a team match against Aaron Above. I was also on Full Metal Classic. Narrowly came in the victor, but still I like participating matches, and I have something in the works too. I would have released it last month, but then the whole quarantine shut down, and I kind of put it off to the side. But now I'm gonna get it back up. I'm gonna get it back up and going. And yeah, Facebook Ryan Payne.
Nice.
Thanks. Peggy?
And yeah, then you can catch me here every Wednesday co-hosting Fantasy Film Fights with my boy Tony right up here. I am at Peggy B-Ball across all social platforms. I believe I'm under that on Letterboxd as well, but I hardly ever go on that. But next week, just to let you guys know, next week's episode category, 3 movie runs. We're talking back-to-back-to-back hits from either an actor, actress, or director. So there's going to be some research involved in that episode for sure.
This gets so interesting. So if you want to follow me, don't be a stalker. That's weird. But please like, subscribe to all the things. Future Presentation Trivia League. It's back on Sunday, so if you want to play, sign up. Saturday we are going to do a stream. I'm not sure what it is yet. Maybe 6 degrees. I'll see. Probably going to be that. We've got a really interesting one for next week as well. And yes, so do all the things like subscribe. Something Aaron is going to be announcing in the next couple of days about FPTL, and someone else on this might be announcing in the next couple of weeks as well. So keep your eyes peeled for more things. And yeah, I think that's everything we've got to do today.
Yeah, great episode. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So I guess I'll close it out for Tony, Aaron, Adam, Bill, and Ryan. I'm Peggy. We'll see you next week. Have a good one, guys. Wash your hands. Bye.
Turbo Kid.